Well, it's the 20th Saturday out here, February, and I came back out to work on this injector pump leak. Nice and sunny out there, but it's not as warm as it kind of looks. A viewer that commented that he thinks that the O-ring that's down in here between the two body halves of this pump is what has deteriorated and is leaking, and I think he's absolutely correct. I can't see where exactly it's coming from, but I've looked at some other pumps that are off a car, and I can see everywhere it can leak except the bottom of that area there, which is probably where it's leaking. It's the only place it can leak. At any rate, I've got to dump the antifreeze out of this one more time, make another mess, and yeah, get some stuff out of my way. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just take this pump apart in the car. I think I can do that, get this end of that pump off of there and take a look at that O-ring. I've never taken one of these apart, so it's all going to be brand new, but yeah, it already leaks, and all else fails, I take the parts in to a place to have it rebuilt, and they do it. But I'm going to go ahead and try to seal this thing up, see if I can find a seal. I've called my local parts supplier, and they cannot order, they can't even find the kit to do the seals on this pump. I'm sure I can find one, on the web. I haven't done that yet. But at this point, I'm looking to hopefully just change out that O-ring, get it back together so it runs and drives, etc. And I can always rebuild a pump off the car and exchange it later. Alright, got the water out of this thing, got that radiator hose out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up here. Clean my area. I need to split this pump, like right here. So I'll have to take all this fuel rail and stuff off the end of it, no big deal. And then there's a bracket here that holds the, it holds this oil dipstick tube. But the end of the pump is supported down here in position where it needs to be, so it won't be rotating. And that's what's important here as far as injector pump timing goes. Hopefully I'll be able to just replace that O-ring down in there, put it back together, have it not leak, because it runs great. It doesn't leak anywhere else, and it runs really, really well. So I hate to tear that whole pump apart and rebuild it at this point. This, may be an exercise in futility. I don't know. I've never had one of these apart. Can't hurt anything. It's already broke. So I'm going to tear that apart. I think I have some company, however. It looks like Jason's out here. So I'll stop for some company. Alrighty then, got this pump apart here. Pulled the end of it off here, and only dropped one spring. Managed to find it, put it back where it belongs here. So this is what I got down here, and this little seal that goes around here is what was leaking. So I need to come up with one of those. I've called the parts house, a different parts house, and found out that the seal kit for this pump is no longer available. So that means we're looking at Amazon, and somebody's got one somewhere. But I'm not going to be putting this together here today. I'm going to take that seal off of there and see where I'm at that point. But yeah, take a look inside there. And I'm not going to move anything. I'm just going to put this back together the way it came apart. I will replace some of the screws that were on there, though, because they were kind of chaseled up. Alright, a bit later here on the 20th. And now we know what's inside of one of these injector pumps at this end. It'd be this bunch of stuff. And I've got it sitting that way because this plate needs to sit centered, blah, blah, blah. I was going to try and keep everything oriented and put it back, but yeah, that's what's down inside there. And what came out of there are these little guys. So what's going to have to happen is I got to get a kit, and hopefully it'll have a nice detailed exploded diagram. I'll look on the web for one, and I can put this back together. And if all else fails, there's a place north end of town here that rebuilds these things, but that's like $700 or so out of my pocket, which I'm trying not to do. Anyway, first try I'll get a kit and see if I can put her back together. But in the meantime, I want to get this truck out of here. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I have another one of these turbo diesels sitting on the floor that needs an overhaul, but it has an injector pump on it, the appropriate one. So I think I'm going to go snag that injector pump, being as I don't plan on rebuilding that engine anytime soon, and installing it on this guy. So that's kind of the next course of action at this time, and then I'll get this other pump rebuilt or rebuild it or whatever I'm going to do with it and put it on the shelf for a future date for whatever application. But hopefully that other pump will run this thing, and we'll see about that. Alright, well, I'm back in the diesel horde, and you can kind of see there's a bunch of heads and engines and blocks and transmissions and probably 10 different injector pumps back here, none of which will work for me, but the one I need is back on that engine in under there. So I'm going to go ahead and take that pump off and see if it'll work for what I need it to do for today. Alright, I figured to come back to this really quick. I've got the new pump on there. I've just got to tighten up its position at this point. It is able to rotate side to side, and that's how you set the timing, the injector timing. What I did is kind of a caveman way. I marked my belt and the pulley, both on the pump, on the cam, set it for TDC here, and then when I took the other pump out, I kept the belt tight between the cam and the crank, so I didn't lose any slack on that side, even though the tensioner's there. I didn't let the belt move on the crank. And then when I put it back, I used the pulley off of the original pump that was here, which had its marks because the pumps are keyed. And I have an idea they're all pretty much the same on the inside. And so I used the pulley, came off the other pump, and put it back relative to where it was. And also there's a little bracket kind of thing that goes around on two of the bolts on the pump. And the bracket has round holes, although the pump has a slot. And what I did is, before I took it all apart, I marked where that little bracket went. So I put it back where it belongs. So theoretically this thing ought to be pretty close to timed. And then if it happens to run and not leak fuel, then at a later time I can go ahead and set the injector timing with the dial gauge and all that. But that's another day. Today I just want to see if I can get it to run with this pump and make sure this pump doesn't leak before I even go through all that hassle. So, alright, we're going to call it wishful thinking. I've hooked all the hoses up, filled the radiator, filled the block, and then I went ahead and filled up in there with some antifreeze. I wasn't going to do that, but I decided what the heck, it either leaks or it doesn't, so I might as well. And then I've put a little bit of air to the return line here, back to the tank to try and push a little fuel up here. I don't know, I didn't put a lot of pressure, and I didn't let it go till the pump, ran fuel out. So the pump may or may not be primed, so I will hook the battery cable up here and we'll give it a shot. I guess we'll let you watch me struggle with it here. Alright, I'm going to try this again. What I did was took that return line back off, put some air pressure to it until I got fuel coming out of the pump up here. And so now I got that mess to clean up later, but theoretically now there should be some fuel in that pump. So let's see what we can do here, hopefully. running on all four now, so that's a good thing. So we'll go ahead and let it run here for a while and get it warmed up and watch for leaks and see how we do. It's chooching a little bit, but that's to be expected here at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and let it run a bit, and then I guess we'll see how we did. Alright, well I've been running it for a while out here now, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think I'm going to go ahead and run down the road. I'll get the dial gauge out and check the injector timing, the pump timing, probably next weekend, I don't know. But for now, I'm thinking I'm just going to run it as it is. Run 2 tanks of fuel through it, see if it'll clean up a little bit. It's not doing too bad. So, for the 20th out here, thanks for watching.